What does it really take to design for brands like Google, Nike, and LOEWE and still make work that actually moves culture?
You don't become obsolete because everything you're building and designing and you are creating for humans. So therefore, you are the best judge of what they would want.
Welcome to the DesignRush podcast, where we unpack how top creative leaders shape world-class brands and build standout agencies. I'm Kia Johnson, and today I'm joined by Viv Greywoode, Head of Design at Sting Studios, the global creative force behind campaigns for Google, Peloton, LOEWE, and Channel 4. With 15 plus years of experience, including award-winning work for Nike at AKQA, Viv champions creative craft, talent development, and design that connects emotionally and moves culture. In this conversation, you'll learn how to earn the trust of global brands, collaborate without ego, and bring bold creative thinking into the fast-paced world of agency work. To stay in the know about bold creative thinking and agency growth, hit subscribe. We share weekly interviews with global leaders reshaping the industry. Hey Viv, welcome to the DesignRush podcast. Before we dive into things, I just want to say congratulations to you and the team at Sting Studios on the Canva campaign. I mean, you were named one of the Drum's 10 best out-of-home ads of the year so far. What I loved about this, Viv, is that campaign's playful humor was like so smart. So what I would love to find out from you is, how do you go about creating an idea that really speaks to a niche audience, but also has a broad appeal that works for the larger business?
Yeah, it was an interesting one. I think first and foremost, thank you. That project was a massive labor of love for all of us. It wasn't just us at Stink, it was our partners and even the client itself. I think the thing that really went into that one and made sure that it kind of resonated was, I think it was the insight, the human truth, right? That everyone goes through those things. No matter how big or how small, how much of a designer you think you are, or how much of a non-designer you think you are, everyone understands those sort of things. So we were just, I think, and the thing that we got to do was Canva has this, especially in the UK, obviously being a Australian company, but obviously big in the US, the UK, it's kind of unknown. So we had this really important area to kind of make sure that we were hitting the UK British tone on the nose, and I think that was the kind of thing that we kind of made sure that it resonated with everyone. It was like, not only people understood what we were talking about, tonality, it was absolutely perfect. It kind of hit the nail on the head, and everyone understands those kind of things. Almost like how big in the last couple of years, like meme culture's been, right? The way that it's like, this has happened and things like that. So it's was kind of that thing. But yeah, it was one of those ones that it looked easy to do, but it was very hard, very painstaking. A lot of people worked on it, and it was one of the amazing things. So yeah, to get that acknowledgement from the Drum, yeah, was amazing. And it was I think it happened, we found out last Friday, so it was a good end to the week, a very busy week.
That's exciting. And I think that's that moment where, as a design house, you can actually just give yourself just this pat on the back and just be like, hey guys, we've done this, we can do this. Yeah. I mean, we live for those moments, I reckon.
100%. I think also I would just say, because of where I am at Stink as well, where we don't have any retained clients, so that we're only as good as the last projects we do. So having those projects that are picked up and are, not just awarded, but it's talked about. That's what we live for. That's what we do. We're able to go really put all our effort into all the projects we do, because again, no retained clients. So we just have to go like that, and we have to do it. So those works become the thing that we are able to show to other people and other prospective clients. So we just make sure that that's the level that we kind of always try and aim for. We don't always reach it, but it's the thing that we always try and do. It was a really good one, that one.
So speaking about all the work that you've done, that Stink does, I mean, you've led creative for giants like Google, Peloton, and LOEWE. Now, when a brief that lands on your desk, what is it that makes you think this one is going to be something special?
Yeah, it's a tough question, that, because it's always tough at the beginning of projects to kind of see them straight on. But yeah, we're in this world where we work on, and especially with Stink, we're lucky enough to work with really amazing clients and really big clients. I think the thing that always resonates with me when it comes to those projects is like when you read the brief, you kind of have an instinct, and then you speak to the client, you understand what their ambition is, and then you have your first session together, and there's this meeting of minds, and it just becomes better and better. I think I'm probably a bit long in the tooth to be said, but I feel like I don't really get that excited at the beginning. It's like after the first meeting with the client, and we've got our idea, and then we've kind of gone to the client, and then it's got better and tighter. That's when I'm like, oh, okay, cool. This could be going somewhere. And then there's a long way to go. But I think just trying to keep that energy is the main thing when you're working on it. And just, I think it's the meeting of minds. I think that's when I know, oh, this is going to be really, really good and really big. And sometimes it's different for different people. Special for an agency like us is probably different for different agencies, or different for different clients. So it kind of, but I think when you're on the same page with your client from the off, I think that's when you're like, oh, this could be really good. I try not to say it, but I do in my little moments, especially with my team. I get excited, and we all get excited. And I think that shows through in the work, right? The excitement of special things, it should show through in your work. And I think that's what we do at Stink really, really well. Like, you can see that we've enjoyed making it. And I think that's one of the main things that I will say about the projects that we do, no matter who it is, whether it's Peloton, Google, LOEWE, doesn't matter. We've still got the same energy and the same excitement for those kind of projects.
Now, that excitement that you're speaking about, I mean, Stink is known, right, for design that really feels, not just functions. So would you say this is part of how you and your team actually approach a project from the start to make sure that emotional connection is a part of the process?
Absolutely, 100%. I think we are not a big team. We're a medium-sized team, but what we do is we tend to build purpose-built teams for projects. And one of the things I try and make sure that we do is like put people that work on it are interested by it. Like, I think it will show through if people are genuinely interested by it in certain things. So how I do it with my team is I have a team, and I meet with them regularly and find out what they're into, what they're doing, like whether they've got any other extracurricular stuff, and just keep in contact with them, just so that I'm always, if things new come in, I'm able to kind of put them in a position to work on those things. And I think we're at that day and age where you kind of have to work on the things that you like. Obviously that sometimes doesn't always happen. But I think straight off the rip, it's like we try and build the right team for that. And then it's down to the individuals. I feel like it's down to the teams that are running it, and they need to do the research, get into it, get under the skin, ask the questions, ask the stupid questions, ask the questions that shape it. And then we get to the point of actually putting pen to paper, and that's the exciting bit. And so I'm not really that worried. I never usually get worried about that side of it, because that's what we do. It's the bit up to like, oh, do we have something that feels sticky, that feels interesting, that we actually are like, oh, we can't stop talking about. I literally have just jumped off half a meeting actually for one of those just recently, and we were like, oh, that's the idea. We're like, oh, this is super exciting. We're all just riffing. And I think as soon as you get one thing, an idea that starts to riff off other things, I think we usually are like, okay, cool, we're good. Like, let's just make it as good as possible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you're then designing for a brand that already defines culture, I mean, you look at your Nike and your LOEWE, I mean, they're pretty much, they've got that defined, they've got that to a T, that is who they are. So how do you then bring something fresh to the table without just repeating what they already represent?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's something that everyone, like, things have always been done. Like, there's kind of really no new ideas. It's basically, how do you get to those ideas? It's like, how do you do the research, right? And you look at the references. I always say that you're already as good as your references. Like if you need to, as a designer, as a creative, you should stay on top of your references culturally and the things that you like, and surround yourself by those things, because that's what happens when you get briefs like this. You're like, oh, I saw this, and then I saw this. Can we marry those things to do? And then all of a sudden you've got something new, right? Newish. amalgamation of a few things, but you got something new. And I think that's the thing that I always foster is like, keep looking, keep searching, spend time with the things that you really like. I block out my diary on a Friday for an hour just to spend time looking at the internet and doing desk research and things that that inherently keep me interested and interesting in what's going on around the world. And to answer your question about the brands, like, yes, it is hard. But I think when you have really good relationships with clients, I think you get to a good point where once you're showing them things, they start to react in a different way. Then you're like, okay, cool, this is progressive. Don't really want to do the same thing again, but sometimes the same thing again is fine. I've been there, I've done that, it's fine. But yeah, it is tough. But I think the other thing is like, we at Stink know our clients and really do try and work really hard to understand our clients and understand what's going to move the needle for them. And I think it's that kind of coupled with what we know about culture and the research we've done help kind of go, okay, cool, this is a good idea for you. And we can tell you why. And it's backed up by insight, by data, by all of the things that we need to do. And yeah, I think that's kind of how we stay relevant and make our clients feel relevant, because you just have to do the work. And I think you can't really teach people, well, you can teach people how to do that, but you can't teach people how to care. And that's the point. It's like, teach people how to care so that they go deeper and they get to those interesting bits that are like, oh, what if we take that and that and that?
And then like marry them together. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Like, and that's what usually happens. And I think that's the special thing that we do as designers, as creatives.
I can just hear through the excitement in your voice as you're describing everything to me, how when you're sitting with your team, that excitement and the processes and just finding those interesting little nuggets and actually bringing that into everything and making something amazing happen out of that. And the one thing I'm also feeling, and I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong here, is that it's not just about like partnering with the brand and then actually just like traveling the journey with the brand, but it's actually partnering with the brand, understanding the brand, and then almost being like a couple of skips ahead of where the thought processes are so that you can bring something really amazing to the table. Am I right?
100% stat. We usually, what we do is when we present that to a client from let's say, for instance, from an early brief, what we would usually do is come back with three ideas. One that really pushes them, that we're super excited about. One that kind of is where they should be and where we're like, okay, cool. And then one that is scary. Scary for them, for us, for everyone. And I think that's the only way that you kind of keep it going, because usually what the client will do, depending on budget, time, and all of the things, they'll choose one of those three things really. But usually we'll bucket things into that. Sometimes a lot of the time we go with three. Sometimes we go with one, and we die on a hill for that, and that's fine. And it's usually the one that's scary, the one that we actually want to make. Which is the conversation I was literally just having, was just like, we can just go with one. And we're super excited by it. And I think that if the client sees the excitement and they buy into it, then we really want to make it. So it's just like, that's the only way this kind of works. And I may be a bit naive when it comes to that, but I just like, you can probably tell my personality is very much that. It's like, get excited, because the client needs to be excited as well. And if you're excited and you're excited making it, people will be excited, like, and they will get it.
So now, Viv, you're speaking of those three different scenarios when you're sitting with a client and you're obviously like, okay, number one, number two, number three. But can you like think of a time when a project like completely changed direction? When the idea actually evolved into something even braver or more unexpected than you first imagined?
Like, you caught me on the hop to kind of think like, ugh. But one of the things that I can remember that happened was we worked not too long ago with Riot Games in LA, and they came to us with a really unique proposition. They are a gaming brand. They make some of the best and well-known games in the country, in the US, but the world over. And one of the things they're having an issue about was attribution. And so we were like, okay, you could do a few things. And we showed them a couple of things. And they were like, yeah, okay, cool. We like the way you think. And I was like, okay, cool. And then they were like, we have a question though, like, they have a logo, which is a fist. And they were like, we've never really given it any meaning. We were like, okay, that's interesting. So as a third party to them, we kind of, but now a partnership, we were set about to kind of not only build a branding system for the brand, but actually a mainstay that they've had for years and years, give it meaning. And then what does that turn out to? And basically the sum of everything was, we ended up unlocking a lot of different things for them. I think the thing is, because they make all these games, they've got IPs which are their games, they do amazing graphics, they do amazing things, whereas the brand itself that made them don't really stand for anything. Well, they do stand for things, but they don't really get the recognition. So our job was to make sure that they get the recognition. And so we set about giving the fist the meaning and making sure that the whole design system that we created for them made sense. And by doing that, we were able to build this really robust system that they're using now, and they're rolling it out now, for how they talk about their products, how they appear on social, and we were just given, it was part of the remit for the branding, the brief. But what happened, we unlocked something that just took on a life of its own. We were like, okay, so if it does that, then it must do that. And if it does that, then we can borrow your IP because this is the reason. And I think that was one of the things that we did. The other one was like, we won a pitch not too long ago and we did some work with Channel 4. What we pitched to them was what? It was so wild for social media, basically. It was so wild that they were like, this is mental. We would never do this, but we love the way shit's doing. And I think that's to answer your question about the things that a bit just take on the rest of their life. I think I would always die on a hill for something that's super exciting. And usually what happens is the ambition is true. Like it happens with the client. Like, so a lot of the time they push us. Once you get into it, they're like, okay, if that happens, then what do we do here? And what do we do there? And we're like, okay, cool, let's keep going. And so, a lot of stuff happens like that within projects. A lot of stuff happens in pitches when there's no time, you're running out of time, and you're just there like, right, we really like this. We're going for it. Sometimes it happens in edit, and we're like, oh, that's a really good thing. Let's rework everything. Yeah, we just have to rework everything. We've done that in the past. So kind of a non-answer to your question, but I think the main thing I will say to you is just like, it's just about being nimble. Like, we're lucky that we're a certain size, and the way that we put teams together and the people that we have in the teams, like that we foster that. It doesn't matter where that idea comes from. If someone's super excited by it and we get on board, we're all on board. So we're all going for it. And I think that's just the way it works for me. And that's why I've been at Stink for so long. And why I'm like, it's like the best place for me right now is that there's so many different avenues to do that. And it just makes loads of sense, and it's scary and fun in equal parts. And that's the so it was kind of a non-answer, but there's plenty of things in there that have like done totally gone left for me, but I live by it, and that's the thing. Like, it is what it is, and a lot of the time it doesn't matter whether it's from us or it's from the client. It's just, is it better? Yes. And I think you always have to answer, is it a better idea? Does it look better? Does it do all the things we want it to do? Yes. Then we're doing it. Done.
These processes all sound quite immersive, and you're chatting about you're chatting about the culture. I mean, within Stink Studios itself. And that actually is leading me on to what I want to ask you now, because I mean, these timelines which you were busy chatting about, they're like super, super intense. So do you think the reason why you're able to maybe keep that creative drive strong, when everything around is like built for speed, is because of that culture that you all foster within Stink Studios?
A few things that set this up to work is like, we always make it, we always say, and it's a true thing with our clients, we become an extension of their team. So we basically their problems are our problems. We try and make sure that we understand the brief and what will actually move the needle for them. A lot of the time we're asking questions back to them saying, okay, and it may seem obvious, but we just want to get to the truth so that we can actually offer up something that really, really, really helps. The reason that is because, like you said, the timelines are so short. So we have not enough time to kind of do the things that we do. So it's about the chemistry, it's about the team, it's about trusting people to do what they do. I've been in places where there's a lot of people, multiple layers, and I sometimes feel like there's a place to hide. Whereas when you get a bit further on, like you actually realize that you have the right people in the right room to do the right thing, all of a sudden things just become a little bit easier. Yes, there's still that deadline, but I think the thing with me and with Stink that I use this analogy, I've used it before and I'll use it again now, is that we never really run out of time. There's a deadline. We'll keep working until they take the paper away from us. Like, that's the type of people we are. So I think
that is so cool.
But it has to be, because like you only think like you have to keep craft. That's where the craft comes in. That's why the level of finish is there, because you have to be diligent until someone's like, right, that's it, you need to send it out now. Well, I think that's the thing, and some people have it, some people don't. I think we're, again, back to the team that we have and the team that I have. Like, my team is very much the same mindset. They get it and they understand once they're on a project, they need to give some of themselves to it. That's the only way it works. And so time is one of those things. So just work at it and get there, I think.
How do you personally tell when a piece of work truly lands, when it's actually shifting culture or sparking emotion in people? And this is like going beyond those metrics and awards. Yeah.
For me, there's two things that's always happened to me. It's like, one, when it ends up in someone else's deck. Do you know what? When they're trying to do an idea, your work ends up in their deck, and they're like, oh. And then the other thing is, if my parents hear about it, or like someone I'm talking to, like I was at football the other day talking to a guy that I play football with for years, and he just was like, oh, what do you do? And I told him what I did. And he was just like, hold on a minute. He's just like, I saw that thing. Were you part of it? I'm like, yeah. And I was like, I did that. And he was just like, oh, cool. It's when it's like unexpected. Obviously, within the industry, it becomes a bit of an echo chamber. Unfortunately, it's just the way like people are always promoting their work, all that sort of stuff. It drives the industry. Whereas out of that industry, I think as soon as you start to become part of people's daily lives, and that's the thing that we do at Stick, and what we profess to do, is we actually want to make things that people want to spend time with, whether that's like adverts, whether that's digital executions. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's the way that we approach things. So when that happens, that's when I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, I did that, yeah, that's cool. Like, that's quite cool. Like, so yeah, I think that's when I know, like, oh, cool, my work has been used as a reference. Or I'm chatting to people and they say, did you see that that latest thing, like, for that client? I'm like, yeah. And the one recently is Canva. Everyone's speaking about it, and even one of my mates was videoing it while he was on his bike, and he was just like, oh, this is really cool. It was on his social. Cool. I just messaged him, was like, yeah, I did that. Yeah. And he's like, oh, that's when I'm like,
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. Now, in your experience, Viv, I mean, what would you say really gives an agency lasting value in the eyes of the brand? Would you say it's perhaps the creative risk that it takes? Do you think maybe it's the reliability, or it's maybe something that's actually harder to define?
Oh, it's really, again, very, very good question. For me, I feel like from a client's point of view, I think they just want people and agencies to help solve their problems. And I think the more you can do to do that, and I think sometimes clients don't know what their problems are. They think it's one thing, another thing, and you're like, okay, cool. And that's kind of why we always, and I say we, Stink, and it's something that I live my life by now, is just like, become an extension of their team. We always try and do it and just make sure that we are So in it, they understand that we're in it with them. We want them to exceed. We want to succeed as well. So we want everyone to succeed. So we get in it with them, and we're like, actually, what would move the needle for you? What is the most important thing here? You've seen this, and then we go away and do our research, and we do the research quantitatively and all of those sort of things, and qualitatively, and then we kind of come back and go, this is our recommendation. And at that point, it's kind of like, whether they've bought into you or not, it's kind of they make the decision, but you can always say, we recommend this, and this is what we think based on your needs and what you have told us. This is what we think will move the needle for you. And we try our hardest to get there, because like I said, like, we're only as good as the last project. Like, we don't have any retained clients, we've got retained relationships, which is amazing. So once you do a good job for someone, they're likely to come back to you and go, oh, I really like that job you did. Not only did I do X, Y, and Z in terms of numbers, but I liked the process. And I think that's you, as an agency, you need to try and bottle up and have your own way of doing things, because I feel like that's what really stands you aside from everyone else. Is like, it's not just what you do, it's how you do it, basically.
So now you're speaking about relationships, and I'm actually just wondering that, what you just spoke about being like this solutions agency, actually trying to resolve the problem or the issue that, the client would have at hand. I mean, you're dealing with big clients like Google and Peloton. So obviously winning those clients and then having a long-term partnership with them, would you say then having that kind of mindset that you just spoke of is actually that winning formula?
It's worked for us, but it changes and it depends. But yeah, it's worked for us. I think there's that honest chat that you need to have, and we're very lucky. In our company, we're very lucky that we have very, very amazing new business people and an amazing exec producers that do that job, that speak to the client and make sure it kind of we understand their needs and really spend time doing that. We don't have any account people, so the reason why we don't is the studio model, where the client can talk to a design lead or a head of design like me, to the ECD. There's no filter, because then we are able to, they feel like they're in touch with the people that are actually making the stuff. And I think that's it. It's the transparency as well. It's like being able to kind of go, I need to speak to this person, and just being able, or I need to speak to my team, and they know that who their team is. We make a big deal about that when we're pitching, not just when we're pitching, but when we're winning projects. We put together teams and we show the client, these are the people you're working with. And that if one of those people are on holiday, we tell the client they're on holiday, they will be back. You know what I mean? It's that level of, no, it's there, because it's like you have to, it comes in both ways, right? You have to be able to do both things. And I think it really does help, like building a relationship that fosters clarity, transparency, so that everyone knows where they stand. Everyone wants to do the best work they can. What's the mission? We're on it with you. Let's go. If we don't get there, we don't get there. But we 9 times out of 10 we do.
I was having a bit of a giggle earlier because you were talking about, like declaring the fact that, oh no, this person is not here because they're actually gone on vacay. And after just like thinking of so many traditional style, agencies that, it's not something that they would share so easily. And in the same breath, I think it's actually so interesting, because what you're doing at Sting Studios, you're kind of moving with the times, because a lot of those traditional models have actually broken down and things
100%.
have changed, and you need to evolve all the time, and you need to make sure that you are more in touch with your clients than ever.
100%. Yeah, our clients' landscapes change all the time. One minute is something, the next minute is this, and we have to evolve. So we have a structure, we have a way that we like to work, and it's kind of loose, because we need to be that adaptable, we need to be that flexible. Like, that's the only way that this works, and I feel like it is the only way that we can continue to do the best work, because we are there for the client, whatever they need. And like, even as much as telling them that someone that is leading their project that is on holiday, like they get it, like they would like that information because they're like, okay, cool, maybe we don't do this. They go on holiday too, so it's like it's good that we know as well, so that we can go, okay, cool, we won't do that, and we can pivot and we just roll with the times. I think the thing is, it's all about being human. Like, it's not about hiding behind processes and being rigid. It's about being human, and people need to take time off. People need to go and do stuff. It's just the way it is. The more that we're on the same page, the better it comes, and better the relationship, and then the better the work is usually how it works. So I feel like that's the sum and substance of what we do at Stink. So I feel like that it is just it, and that's what we do, and that's why we do what we do, and that's why I'm super proud to be there, because it's just become one of the first places I've worked at where it is kind of like that. It feels really family orientated, for want of a better word, and that's including our clients. Like, it has to. You get the best work that way. I like working in a place that it's fun and it's all the right thing. Like, it shouldn't not be that. We like to work with nice people, and we like to do things in a nice way, but obviously there's been instances where it hasn't been the case, and we've had to part ways with clients and things like that. It happens, but I think quite quickly we understand and know there's a way that we like to work, and there's a way that we do our best work, and we are quite aware of what that way is, and something that sometimes feels a bit alien to that when it starts to happen. We're aware of that as well, and a lot of the time we give it the benefit of the doubt, but a lot of the time they're not projects or people that we work with again, and I think that's super important. I think it's as good, you have to be able to know your boundaries and know how you want to work as an agency as well as a person. It's super important, especially in this day and age. You have to be able to do that, and I think that's the thing that I'm really proud of, that we do. And we have that ethos that really comes through in everything that we do, in every touch point.
Now, Viv, when you look at brand agency relationships today, what do you think separates the ones that make real impact from those that just deliver content? I mean, you've been talking to me about a couple of different things and just ways in which Stink Studios actually operates. But from your perspective, if you were to look at these brand agency relationships, what do you think actually separates, the ones that make that real impact from those that are just delivering, content?
It's multi-layered, multi-layered to that, to answer that question. But off the rip, what I think is definitely become an extension of the team, of your client's team. Understand them, work into them, processes they use, however you want to communicate, and make sure communication is open both ways, no matter what, no matter when. Like, it has to be, especially in the infancy of projects and relationships. I think the other thing that is asking the right questions. I think you kind of have to ask, you're hired by your client to do a job. What is that job? Really get to the bones of that, and where are the edges? Is the brief a piece of paper that a brief is written on, which is what a lot of us still see these days, only says half of the story. You kind of can't just take a brief and, okay, we're going to answer that. We always follow it up with conversation and question and answer, and trying to fill in the gaps, because you can't really capture everything on a piece of paper. And also, it just helps kind of put names to faces and understand and build that relationship. That's the other thing that really helps, is like relationship building. And then again, to the point I've been making for the last couple of questions, is honesty and transparency. Being honest with your client, like, yes, we can do that. This is how long it will take. This is how much it will be. And just be open and honest with those kind of conversations, because that's the only way you get to somewhere that kind of like you understand each other super quickly. And I think that's it. And then the other things that I keep saying is like, make sure you ask the questions for your client, that make sure that you understand what their motivations are, what will move the needle for them. Because at the end of the we're not just here doing nice things that look nice. We actually have to, there's a business, there's a reason why we do it. So we kind of have to make sure we're answering that brief the best way we know how. And that brief can change, and it does change, and it can evolve based on the questions you've asked. But I think those are the things that I feel like you kind of have to be a partner rather than client agency, client studio relationship. It has to be like, we're in this together. How do we do this and figure that out super quickly? And the only way to do that is by being open, is the way I find it. So yeah, those are the things.
The questions that you are referring to, I mean, really getting stuck into the core crux of everything when you have, your client there with you and they're giving you the brief, but you're actually almost like reading between the lines, and really getting to the core, like, of everything and exactly, what needs to be done. So would you say then that when a brand then chooses a top tier creative partner, that's in essence what they're buying? It's like, it's the work itself, it's the thinking behind it, and it's the people driving it. It's kind of like this collaboration of sorts. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that before I'd been at Stink, but I think collaboration is the thing. I think like answering that question, and I think you've kind of touched on it. I see it as the client is buying the people. They're buying the people to answer the thing that they want them to answer. And part of that is coming up with a creative way of doing it, which comes from those people's heads. And then they're also, what happens after that thing comes out of their heads, it manifests itself in some sort of work. So I think it starts with people. I think it starts with humanity. I think you really need to understand it. You can't just look at things that are out there like, oh, I like that advert that did that. Oh, I want that. Like, you kind of have to go back and go, okay, how was that done? Who did that? What was the idea? Who did that? Like, and it is kind of about the people. And I think it's really important, again, all of the things I've been saying, which sounds a bit kumbaya-y, but it is about the people. It's like, you have to do the work that you really want to do, you have to build relationships with people. I feel like there's other ways of doing it. There are other ways to do it, but I feel like the way that I would like to do it and the way that I have been able to do it and the way that I do it now and we do it as Stink is build those relationships so that they understand that they're buying this people, which is why we're able to tell them this person's on holiday, because that's part of the people that they're paying for. So it kind of makes sense. But I think, yeah, it's a bit crude to think about it that way, but they are essentially buying those creative people who have those creative minds that are able to think about those creative problems so that they can put them down on paper or whatever that may be and execute them in a way that will move the needle for that client. That's what we do. So I think that they're buying the people. Sounds weird, but it kind of is. It is.
And that actually brings me to my next question. I mean, we're, like you were saying, we're chatting about so many of these wonderful, amazing, positive things, and it's all fantastic. But I mean, there must be some common missteps that you have seen agencies make when they're pitching to high-profile brands. The kind of things that like really fall flat. Are there any that you can name?
Yeah, one or two, but they're super generic.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
It is fine. It's like, first thing is, if you don't speak to your client, if you don't speak to and contact the person that's giving you the brief and ask them questions, then yeah. Sometimes you may have an idea off the rip, but it may be just good to clarify certain things in a brief. So I would say, communicate with them. Secondly, if you can, and especially a pitching process, it depends on the timeline, but I would always say do a tissue session, which is obviously the thing in between the pitch date, so that you can actually talk to them about, we've got these ideas, they're not formed yet. Here's some starters for 10. Is anything, do you know what I mean? It's kind of a little bit of a cheat, but it's kind of like, here's 7 territories. What are you liking? Will they move the needle for you? And then they will kind of try and give you, if they can, give you an honest answers to those things and go, we don't like that, we like that. And that just helps steer you in the way that you're like, okay, cool, especially in a pitch. especially in a pitch. I always try and have a tissue session. It depends again on the timeline. And then lastly, try and back up your ideas with fact, with hard quantitative and qualitative insights, like that kind of back up what you're saying, because the things that are these days don't fly are just like, oh, it looks nice. Like, it has to again have meaning and be able to have a bit of substance to it, so that actually answers the brief. And the only way that you can do that is by corroborating and finding data that supports your argument. And I think that's it, really. Those are things that massive mistakes that we found that we haven't done in the past, that we've ended up, we've lost pitches and lost clients and whatnot because of those things.
You've given me so many beautiful nuggets, for our audience here today. But I just want to find out from you that if an agency wants to stand out to global brands, is there like one piece of advice that you could give them? Like, it would be the ultimate golden nugget.
Oh, I've got three, but I'll go with one. I think okay, my top one is pitch ideas frequently. Even if you haven't been asked to, pitch ideas. This will be a great idea for you. You should do this. Do you know what I mean? And just build that relationship with them so that they know that they are buying people. I say people, that sounded mad when I said it, but they are buying ideas. They are coming to you because they have issues. Like, if you're worth what you say you are, you should be able to look at their brand and go, or their business, and go, oh, what if you did this? What if you did that? And sometimes it doesn't have any context. You don't know the client. You don't know all of that sort of stuff. But I think it's really important that they know that what they're buying is the ideas. They're buying that creative drum roll that they're like, oh, okay, cool. This is exciting. This is interesting. Another one for me would be try and be collaborative. Try and be open to collaborate, understand the client, they understand you. People like break bread with them. Just literally, like, get to a common ground where you're like, cool, like, we understand each other, so that you can actually, it just makes the job easier. Once you understand someone, you can go, oh, okay, cool, I get this, and I think you'll like this because of this and that, and you can be a bit more pointed. I think that's basically it. It's those, I said three, but it's probably two. The other one, yeah.
Now I'm thinking, like, from the other side of that relationship, what could brands do better when working with creative partners to, like, really get the most out of the collaboration?
Again, it boils down to the human nature for me. I think it's be honest. I think it's try and be honest as you can be at that point in time. I think it's like, these are the things we're really struggling with. And these are the things that we're not sure how we're going to fix. We would like you to focus on this thing. And I think it's just that, be honest about what it is, and not, again, it's that old model about the client agency model. Like, it's no longer, it has to be more human. So I think it's that. Say what your issues are and be open to air your wares and be like, cool, the reason why you're here is because you want something to change, so let's just get to the bottom of it, and you tell us what your issues are, and then we can try and help. And how can we solve them creatively? Like, some of them are systemic of the businesses, but a lot of them are like, you can solve them creatively. What are those? And that's where we come in. That's what you're buying. You're buying people, the creative output from people. And just try internally. And I think that's the main thing from a client's point of view, is try and make sure that you have the right people in the room early when you're figuring out what it is. You always talk about stakeholders. Who are your stakeholders? Like, it's not just you. It's like you have multiple people behind you. So what is that line? Who are the people that need to be involved at certain points? And we can map that out for you and go, actually, at this point, we think we're going to be ready to get the crux of it. So up until that, we need to have those stakeholders, but we know we've got to get to the final boss. And it's just being really aware of those things. I think sometimes we've been in situations more so recently than not where whole teams have changed halfway through projects, apart from one person. So it's just like being open and honest about that, because we understand what climate we're in. Things are constantly changing, so we need to be able to be adaptable. So it's those things I feel like the client needs to be open and honest with sharing. And I think that all only happens if you're in codes, right? You're close.
Well, speaking about things that are like evolving at this point in time and changing so much, I mean, you look at the marketing build, it's just going at this rapid speed. You got your AI tools, then there's this influencer fatigue, and it's like this constant fight for attention. So in your view, what do you feel are the big shifts that you think most creatives are actually still underestimating?
AI, massively. It's coming, it's here, it's doing things. It's not great now in doing certain things. It's great at other things, but it's going to be amazing. So get on it, learn. It's my point. Learn it, learn how to prompt, learn how it can help your business, there's always parts in a business, in a process that can be streamlined and you can use AI for. It's just about being smart enough to figure out what those are, and that you can kind of offload so that you're actually AI powered. I think it's like embrace, don't push away, embrace it. AI massively, it's become a thing that everyone needs to be aware of and needs to use. So just get involved and don't be afraid.
I was just about to mention the fact that there's this fear right now. I mean, if you look at design specifically, if we were to look a few years back, I never in my, I would never have thought that AI would have reached the level that it has right now with design. And in doing so, a lot of people are living in fear, especially those that are within the industries that you find yourself right now. And what I love what you're saying is that we need to embrace that, and then just learn how can you take these tools to then still have your human input into it, but in the same breath be able to move along with what AI is producing and bringing
100%,
about.
100%. It is a not meaning to sound a bit crass, but it is a weapon. It is a thing that you should have in your arsenal as a designer, as a creative. So it's definitely something to lean into that will expedite and speed you up. We've been using it for years, and now even more so now. You've literally stolen one of my things that I've been thinking about is that is 100% why you use it, because it's it's a machine. It's only as good as what you put into it, but also there's this human nature. You don't become obsolete because everything you're building and designing and you are creating for humans. So therefore, you are the best judge of what they would want. You should be able to curate that in such a way. So definitely that. And if you don't know how to do it, find people that do. Partner with people that are really good in those areas that you're like, oh, I've seen that and they're really good in there. Like, how do I get to work with that person?
Yeah.
And that's basically that's basically it.
So taking a look at design itself, I mean, how do you see design then shaping culture right now? And at the same time, how would you say then the culture is actually influencing design, in 2025?
Yeah, it's a tough one. There's loads of stuff going on. Obviously, AI driven things are there. No matter what, they are driving culture. People are well, look what AI's done. It's just yeah, but obviously someone had to do that. They're driving definitely the aesthetics right now and the immediacy that everyone has that at their fingertips now. Everyone can do certain things. What will be the thing that makes everyone else, makes me stand out is that human nature and know how to curate. The thing that AI is really bad at currently is the repetition and making sure that it can do something and hold. For instance, I've prompted something, I'll say, oh yeah, that's really cool, but can you change this? It will change everything.
Mm-hmm.
It won't just change you.
Yes.
So it's not not as so just understanding how you kind of move through this world and how it's kind of how culture has changed is super important, that you can put your face on anyone's. Do you know what I mean? It's all of that sort of stuff, and it is definitely transforming the way that we work. There's from a design point of view, there's loads of stuff. It's not just AI. There's immersive 3D. There's AR. There's loads going on. Like, as soon as all those worlds start to clash, then we start to get into something really interesting. So yeah, there's loads going on, but I think more and more now is like technology has sped up everything. So from a culture point, we are definitely in this world where we want, even more so now, we want everything now, immediately. Why isn't it? So from a creative point of view, is actually being able to pump the brakes and go, actually, do you want it now or do you want quality? And I think that's where we're in a really interesting place where, cool, I can give you something now, but it won't be right. Whereas if you give me a couple of days, we'll be closer.
I find, these words brand authenticity, it actually gets thrown around a lot these days. So from your point of view, who would you say is actually living it and who maybe isn't living it?
Oh, two brands that are living it off the top of my head. Patagonia, obviously, is probably one that you get quite a lot. They are they live by their ethos and their activism mentality. Even that ad that they did, the one that says "Don't buy this jacket," and they showed their jacket. It was just like, it's so clever. It was super, super clever. It was, and obviously stood as a manifesto for them in somewhat. So you can, even saying that ad, you're like, yeah, I get it and I understand that. Who would ever do that as a brand? Don't buy this jacket, but they've done it, and it's so them. The other one that's doing it really well, Liquid Death. So they're doing it slightly differently because of their tone. So that funny humor. Everything is all about sustainability. They're like all about heavy metal, and obviously it's an aluminium can, and it's like say what you see, but it's super fun. And it's the authenticity, because it, like, not only does the product and their ethos align, it's just like beautiful. So it's that you rarely get that, and so those are the two for me: Patagonia and Liquid Death. Yeah, the ones that aren't doing it right, there's a few. Actually, when they did the Kendall Jenner thing,
yeah,
it's not okay, but less said about that. And then Shein, I think it's called. It's like the
Shein,
fast moving. Yes. It's fast moving fashion, and it just goes about, it's supposed to be an empowering brand, but everything about its fashion ethics is quite the opposite. It's not sustainable. It's not anything. So just the two, again, product and what they ethos like miss, and you're just like, yeah, that doesn't work for me.
There's a lot of truth in what you have just said, and sometimes I guess it also depends just like on that motivation, like on the back end, where brands are heading and where things are going. So there's a lot of things at play, which is why at the end of the day, as we were talking about through this whole conversation, as to what an immersive and inclusive process it is, it's not just something that you're going to come up with overnight. It's something that takes time, and it has to take the time to get there. Sometimes it's a hit, sometimes it's a miss,
Yeah,
100%. Yeah. Now, if you were to look at design itself, I mean, do you think that design has become too data-driven? Or do you actually feel that we are like finally finding a balance between data and intuition itself? And maybe we possibly like merging those two?
I think that there should be a healthy dose of both. And I think I said this all the way through. It's kind of like, it's not just about things looking pretty. It's like, do they answer a brief? Do they serve a purpose? Do they do the right things? The only way you know whether those things whether it does that is by being, again, data driven, having the reasoning backing that up is super important. And it helps. And at the end of the day, I said this earlier, like, we're designing for people. So I think people are multidimensional and complicated. So I think that we should always, and we are people that are creating things. So at the end of the day, it does fall with us as the creatives, as the designers, to kind of go, okay, does this feel right? And if this feels right, then at the end of the day, you have to go with your gut. But data is there to make sure that it proves your point, right? It makes sure that you're doing the right thing and keeps you on the straight and narrow, as they to say. And then the extra flourishes is you. That's the creative part of it, of just making sure that it kind of feels human by the end of it. I think that's the really important bit. So I think this should be a healthy place.
I want us to take a look now at marketing itself. I mean, was there like a recent headline or a cultural moment that made you pause and think, this is where marketing is heading?
Yeah, there was one that came to mind. It was off the back of Succession. Quiet luxury. Quiet luxury isn't quiet anymore. It's just honest. And I think that's the line. I think that's everything. I think it says everything that you wanted to say. And I think you can look to the LOEWEs of this world that do that really, really well. Even Apple's tone when it talks about, it's not loud and brash, it shows restraint. And I think that's the thing. It's like, there's no artifice when it comes to certain brands. And I think that's the thing. It's this honesty that kind of bleeds through. It's not showing you everything, but it's showing you enough that you, oh, okay, cool. Like I get that and I want that. And it's super clean and there's nothing that is there to trip me up or hidden.
Now, looking ahead, Viv, I mean, what would you say is one big design or marketing trend that you think is like on the verge of breaking out?
Oh, this is the thing that you kind of beat me to. It's humanized AI. I think there's that where it's kind of, so yeah, it's fine because it's part of what we've been talking about. I must have said human many times throughout this chat, but I think it's that's going to explode. It's like it's the power, the fusion of machine intelligence, but with this human emotion and craft that you just get this feeling with. It's not cold, it's not wrong, it's not. It just does everything that you want it to do. I think there's a gap in the market. I think audiences are fatigued at the minute by this automation thing. But if you can bring feeling to that, which is where I think things are going to go, it has to go, in all honesty. I think that's where things will start to kind of get interesting. One of the outputs could be like one of these things that I've been thinking about for a while is like AI-driven campaigns that kind of know you and understand your mood and change based on your mood. Interesting. So it's got that level of learning and understands who the human is and how, and take them into account, not just pace, fast. It's actually like, how do I do this and use my speed to be able to read you and go, oh, okay, cool, you're in this mood, so I'm going to serve you this. So yeah, I think that's interesting. Brands that kind of can do it in real time as well, like obviously because of AI can change, can be culturally, can be topically, no matter what, like they can do that. I think that is definitely for me where it needs to go.
As head of design at Sting Studios, I mean, what would you say actually excites you the most about where design is heading? I know you touched on some things now with the previous question, but perhaps let's take a look at it like in the broader, maybe even not broader, like maybe in the more sort of niche landscape of that. And then also, how do you hope your work will help shape what comes next for brands and creative teams?
I think what I'm very interested in, what I think excites me the most, is that design has definitely come back to this kind of moving back towards meaning. Things mean things now. Like people are too wise, not too wise, but the days are gone and people are like, they don't care. They've become very aware of their surroundings. Things are just surface level aesthetics. They have to be deeper. They're into systems, they're into behaviors, they're into shapes, they're into culture, they're into emotion. And yeah, I just think that, it's design and has to adapt to basically keep up with that. I think people are savvy now. So just designing because something looks good doesn't cut it anymore. It has to actually do something that's a lot smarter. And I think that the audience are very smart, so because we get pumped and showed a lot of it, so it's kind of like that's the way you break through, by doing something that is actually has meaning. I think For me, for the second part of your question, my influence, I think it's kind of how people work, how my teams think and how we make things. I think it's more about the culture than the actual work. I think I've never really, yes, I've worked really hard at the craft and being able to do things with my hands and going, oh, that feels right, stuff like that. But I think it's actually how you get there. And I think it's more about, it feels better going together and being a bit more cross-disciplinary about it. So not just vibing with other designers or creators and being that, but jumping on with AI specialists and data analysts and what can you conjure up? Again, and right at the beginning, I was just like, the way that you come at innovation and good ideas is when you take that and club it together. I think it's the same. Like, that's what I'm trying to foster, is just like that, where you just grab anyone around you with a different skill set and whatever comes out is cool. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, how do we do that? And I think that's really important. The other thing is just, feeling like I just want people to feel like the work that I do speaks to them, rightly or wrongly. At least they have a feeling about it, like whether they like it or not, that at least they feel about it. And also, it resonates in some way. Like that's it. You just want people to care, really, rightly or wrongly, good or bad. But I don't mind.
I was gonna say, just as long as you like evoke something, out of them in terms of like emotion, either or. Yeah, totally hearing you. We've come to the end of our conversation right now. Viv, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on the DesignRush podcast. It's an absolute honor and absolute pleasure to have you here today. Appreciated your insights. You shared like those little beautiful nugget moments, which I'm definitely going to be taking home with me, and then I'm sure our audience will as well. But yeah, like wishing you all the best for all your future endeavors and everything of the best to Sting Studios as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you for asking me these questions. They're really, really good and made me think. So thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Curious about what top brands look for when choosing an agency? Tune into our latest episodes where we reveal the decision-making secrets of leading brands. Subscribe to the DesignRush podcast and stay ahead of the competition.